Thank God it's Friday. Welcome to the show. I am Tokwe Mark Adige, and welcome to the show, Your View on TVC. Mariam, how you doing?
I'm great, girl. I'm doing fine. It's Friday.
Love your colors.
Thank
we
you.
all seem to be in different colors today. Yes. Sometimes it's good, you know. Yeah. You don't have to sync. Sometimes it stand out. I love what you're wearing. Neon.
Thank you. So it's yesterday I was invited for Nigeria Customer Service Index. It was an event about the customer service industry or sector here in Nigeria and West Africa as a whole. And just, it was, you know, stakeholders were there just talking about how they expect, you know, how we can do better in that industry. You know that culturally, I don't think we're very good, very good with making customers feel at ease. So they talked about how it works in the corporate, the things that have been put in place to help with corporate, as well as the informal sector, which I find that's going to be really hard. Imagine going to Balogun and expecting proper customer service.
Some have it, and that's why they're successful. I don't think people get it. They feel that you have done something. But you see, if you go to some of those local markets, you see that one that will be checking on you. Ah, auntie, that baby you brought that time.
Yeah.
How, those ones, you remember them and you keep going back to them. So I think it's important. We need more education so we see the far-reaching effect. Luati, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. It's such a delight to be here. So yesterday, my son went on holiday. And, you know, he just started nursery 1. And so he got into school unable to read. And so at the end of, as at yesterday, he was already able to read, you know. And the day I saw him reading, I was like, so this is how life is. How it is that you go into a certain environment as tabula rasa and, you know, you're being impacted. And yesterday, I really appreciated their teachers, the school that he goes to, and I'm altogether grateful that, you know, my son has attained that.
Yeah, nursery 1.
Wait, so he's in nursery 1 right now?
So he's going to nursery 2 now.
Wow. We were struggling to read year 1. So trust me, you have a champion.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
I'm good.
What's the plan for the weekend?
This weekend, big one. Yeah. So, the next week, next week will be really intense. I mean, just like she said, I work in school setting. We just wrapped up the session, and it's all appraisal. So next weekend, so many people's future will be determined next week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Please be kind.
Yeah. Please. So yesterday, for me, I had a few of my mentors and my parents come and pray in my new office. And yeah, it was such a beautiful moment, and I'm very grateful to God to have the support of people that really care. You know, in this, people tend to feel like Nigerians are all, I'm going to pull you, bite you, it's a competition, but business doesn't have to be. And I'm really grateful for the support of Dr. Olumide, Pastor Niyi Adesonya, Mr. Sunday Olorunsheyi, Mr. Wisdom Ezekiel. All of them showed up, and my parents were also there. And it was just a small prayer, and I'm grateful to God. Just very grateful. Grateful Friday. Thankful Friday. Okay, before we go on a break, you know, the truth is life is a story, and there are many of you out there that have different stories, different experiences that have shaped your journey on earth. If you would like to share any part of this story with us, this would enable people to learn from your experience, get valuable lessons, and even you might get more clarity on how to deal with those challenges. Would appreciate if you send those questions, the stories, and the challenges you're facing to us. You can choose to put your name or do it anonymously. Send it to yourview@tvccommunications.tv. You would see the email right there on the screen. Munch it so that you can use that means to reach out to us. We'd love to take your story and use your journey to bless others. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll go through the front pages of the paper.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. Front page review starts with The Nation. Major headline: NECO subsidy paying cash for poor, workers and SMEs, others. Governors to drive sharing of palliatives. In other news, you have Senate defers recess for ministerial screening. Tinubu creates infrastructure support fund for states. Shareholders okay Nova's conversion to commercial bank. And the president leads tribute for eminent writer Kole Omotosho. More Nigerians now apply for passports, says the Nigerian Immigration Service. Okay. And Dangote Cement buys back 41.2 billion shares. There's another story that I think is equally important. The Eco Bridge shuts again. So sad. And I'm sure, were you writing the story, yeah. Mariam?
Okay, but I'll start with the major headline. Okay. So, NEC okays subsidy paying cash for poor, workers, SMEs, and others. So it says that the federal government yesterday unfolded plans to cushion the economic hardship. And according to the National Economic Council, the government hopes to accomplish its proposed interventions through collaborations with states and also local governments. So the scope of the new intervention covers conditional cash transfers to the poorest of the poor, a cash award policy in aid of civil servants, a new minimum wage for workers, payment of outstanding salaries, support for MSMEs, and the implementation of energy transition plan. Grains and fertilizers are to be released by the federal government to states for distribution or sale at subsidized prices. And as we know, this followed the initial introduction of, the palliatives of food and food subsidies to cushion the effects of fuel subsidy. The Nation was kind enough to sort of give us bullet points of palliatives so that we understand, just by looking at it, see what is there. But I also took the Eco Bridge. I was going to hail Lagos State government for opening it up a few days ago, and I was on that axis a few days back, and traffic was much better. But now they say they have to shut it again for another 40 days. But it's because they said they noticed some damage and has to be attended to urgently.
Okay,
so if it's for our safety, that's fine. But yeah. When will we catch a break in that area?
So, Toby, you had a...
Yes, I have a story on page 27. It says, Lagos moves against child abuse, genital mutilation. So, the Lagos State Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation has urged residents to shun every form of violence against women, including genital mutilation, child and forced marriage. You see, so sometimes we think that child marriage is just like a normal thing, especially, when we've seen past senators do that and all that. But it goes on to say that this is actually not right. It is a crime. And the advocacy campaign team went to Agege main market to publicize this because we realized that in the poorest of the poor settings, these things happen, and it seems like it's tradition that these things have been passed on from one generation to the other. So the government is saying that this is wrong, and people should be aware that these things are not acceptable, especially in Lagos State.
So I have the story on Professor Omotosho, who passed yesterday. I follow his son on social media, Aki Omotosho, who is a very vibrant producer and producer and director of movies. But he got this from his father, who was someone who thrived in that industry. He was a professor of drama, professor of English. He died at 80 in Cape Town. And everybody who is who. We have the president released his condolence tributes. The president's tribute was very strong from Dele Alake. He says, "I'm deeply saddened by the passing of the prodigious writer, author, and academic, that's Professor Kole Omotosho." And he spoke about how he wrote a lot of pieces that was a precede to our independence, and talking about Africa fighting for itself, taking back its power, going back to the glorious days, reminding us of. There was a beautiful tribute that I've seen many tributes about him, and I think that it's important that young people look to those people and see what a quality life, options of what quality life looks like, so that we have more positive mentors in that space. Being a professor doesn't mean that you're a nobody, and you can still make a lot of positive impact in the world that you'll be remembered years after. So our heart goes out to his family and comfort them. We're moving on to The Punch. Major headline: subsidy removal. The government plans to do cash transfer to poor households and dumps Buhari's list. Brian already took that story. We have another story, the Jam Saga follow-up. Soludo sends Mesioma on 3 months psychotherapy. Ignore statements announcing oral rights. Lagos tells residents. PSC promotes cop assaulted by Sheun Kuti and 14,000 others. APC crisis. The National Working Members oppose Ganduje and tip North Central for chair. The military destroys 23 illegal refineries. They've arrested 60 oil thieves, and the NNPCL UTM to build Nigeria's first floating gas plant. That sounds like something that put us on the map.
So I took the story as an update on the Mesoma case. As we remember, the girl who forged her UTME results. The governor of her state, Anambra State, that's Governor Soludo, has asked that she has disclosed through the State Commissioner for Education that she would undergo therapy class for 3 months, and this was recommended by the state panel. The Commissioner for State for Education says that Mesoma, what she did is being viewed as juvenile delinquency, and so in their own case, they will not throw away the baby and the bathwater. They will make sure she goes through this guided guidance and counseling that she needs for 3 months. Thereafter, they would appeal to JAM to see in what ways, that she can be helped, or the punishment a bit, reduced. But we'll hear. I think it's a step in the right direction, because usually, that we punish and never look at how, in other ways, that we can also help to correct. So I hope that she gets the correction that she needs, but also now she's also aware of the misbehavior. Yeah. She acknowledges that she did something wrong. So people also know that, yes, she's done something wrong, but there are different ways to handle it. She may still get punished, but the government is also trying to make sure that she gets
she's in
help,
a very good emotional
so that
state.
she goes on to be a better human being. We don't just cancel her completely now.
Very important. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue with Front Page Review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be...
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table.
Ikechukwu Sunday Okonkwo, aka Cross. Now your intro without one.
Wow.
So there's a name that thing that's.
I'm just drinking because you said I should drink. There's no particular answer.
You think it's only that can be wicked?
What's the answer?
Subterfuge.
Eh?
Yeah. They claim you did, but you said it just happened. That
And it's called what again?
Subterfuge.
Such a feud.
SUBTERFUGE.
So you look me finish from head to toe. You look at a person who go know what to become for such. Yeah?
The nude wasn't like a game plan. Or...
I promise you, it was actually a mistake. Like, it was sending it to someone, and it just mistakenly just went
that, yeah.
doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one who can make time stand still forever, Mr. Kelechi Amadi. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, my brother.
You love that intro, Abi?
Yeah. It was great.
Okay,
Thank you.
We try like that.
Thank you.
Now my question, which I feel is a cheap question.
Oh, go ahead.
What does ISO stand for?
That is it. I think I'll drink.
No, you're joking.
I'm not joking.
Kelechi Amadi. No. Shay, you didn't whine me. You're whining me now.
I think I'll drink.
Huh?
No problem.
Okay.
I've always known this as ISO. I never bothered to know what it means. I know what it means, but I never bothered to know what the acronym means. Tell me the brand of camera that I use, so much so that I even became an ambassador. That's very easy. Very good.
Welcome back to the show. We're still reviewing the front pages of the newspaper, and we're in the Punch. We're still discussing Punch. Mariam already took a story, and I know that you have a story as well.
Yes, I have this beautiful story talking about oral rights. I know most residents in Ikorodu look forward to this, but let me tell you what it says. It says Lagos State government has told the residents to disregard a viral notice. So apparently there was a notice signed advising all females to stay indoors, I think between Thursday and Friday. And the specific areas were mentioned, Amumu, Odofin, Ojota, Ikorodu, and a host of others, about 16 communities within Lagos State. And so somehow we just heard through the press secretary of the governor that it won't hold. So Lagos residents living in those areas have been advised to ignore that notice. So it says this is not what we're supposed to be talking about at this time, but I would say thank God it is concrete, so it might not hold, yeah.
So I'm happy the governor is speaking up concerning this, because it happens, and a lot of women are terrorized when they find themselves being out in some areas, especially Ikorodu at night. Like maybe you're unfortunate enough to maybe be a medical personnel, and you're coming back home around 3 a.m. or something. People get harassed when they say there's Uru. So I'm hoping that the governor is saying this will not happen. They actually ensure that it doesn't happen. Not that they will say it will not happen. People now go out and find out that they are still being getting in trouble. You have a story, T?
Yes, the story says police nabbed 3 varsity students for killing driver in Abuja. So these students were they took a ride-hailing company's boat precisely, and they didn't have money. And after the trip, when the rider was asking for his payments, one of them just slit his throat from the back. And the amazing thing is that they're students, they're university students, right? And so the driver was found in a pool of his own blood. And upon investigation by the Federal Capital Territory Commissioner of Police, Onilegbale, he found out that these students were the ones who picked the ride, and they are currently in the police cell.
Yes. So, like, we hear that this happens on the other way.
Yes.
And I'm happy that the story is coming out so that we understand we should the being careful should go both ways. I saw the headline, the Police Service Commission promoting a cop, the particular police officer that Seun Kuti
that guy
assaulted. He got promoted to becoming the Assistant Superintendent of Police. And I wonder why that was highlighted, because they promoted like 14,000 other police officers. So it might not necessarily, it was not a slap and be promoted situation, Nigerians, because they mentioned it online as well. Like, let the celebrity come and slap me so that they will promote me. No, there are a lot of people that are due for promotion, and it happened to be one of them for Estella. And he actually had a very exemplary disposition during that particular incident. So maybe he contributed, but I don't want us to highlight that, like, no, it's not. Moving on to Daily Sun. Major headline, APC chair. We know there's been crisis. We're not talking about it. We will not talk about it. Opposition mounts over consideration of Ganduje. And the party chair, a lot of crisis. Let's ignore it. Other stories, troops kill terrorists, bandits in ground and air operation. Ex-NBA president asks lawyers, journalists, opposition to save Nigeria. Reps ask CBN to explain transactions on excess crude account. Adeleke names nephew, Aregbeshola's ally, 19 others as board chairs. Alia uncovers 2,500 ghost workers, non-existing school dead persons in Benue payroll. NEC dumps Buhari social investment register to consider salary increase. Senate tells TCN to halt tender for electricity meters. Reps ask NEC not to approve tariff hike. I'll do everything possible to secure lives, property of Rivers residents. As for Bara, and court orders DSS to allow Kanu access doctors' medical records. So what story are we?
I have a story on page 26.
Okay.
Alia uncovers 2,500 ghost workers, dead people. I mean, from a human resource perspective, this is one of the major challenges of practicing my profession. You never really, if you're not thorough, so now they say human resource works with finance, because it's not about just signing, let everybody come in. So it says the current governor went into the records and found out that a total of about 2,500 people. Some of them are retirees, some of them are dead, some of them have left service. I mean, they've been collecting salaries. We don't know how long. So no wonder sometimes we go on the news.
In Benue State.
In Benue State.
Well, we're happy that we've uncovered this. So I hope that we find out the accounts those salaries are going into, and then the punitive measures carried out on the people that are culpable in that situation. Toby, you have a story?
Yes. The story says mental illness. One person commits suicide every 40 seconds globally. And Professor Igwe disclosed this in his keynote address during a one-day seminar organized for media practitioners in Abia State. And he went on to say that the new Mental Health Act signed by former President Muhammadu Buhari has changed the narrative about how mental health challenges or distress is handled in the country. You know, before now we would see that when people say mental health or mental illness, everybody's coding and all that. But based on the act signed by the former president, people are more vocal to speak about mental illness and these things, you know, within the society.
We can't stop talking about it, especially since we're having a rise in suicide being committed. Nigeria used to be the happiest, one of the happiest nations in the world, but with the economic crisis, it might increase, so we should check on one another as well to support along the journey. You have a story?
No, I don't. I was just going to say that it's just that this is more highlighted. I don't think we never used to have suicidal cases, but this was not something we would discuss anyway in our society. But now that it's highlighted, people understand that they can speak up, and then we're paying attention.
Everything that is happening in Osun State seems to be coming to the major headline. Like Osun State's governor has named his nephew and Alegbashola's ally, as in reporting style. They are on the boards of some boards within the state, and I just feel like we should, let's tell our stories in a way that gives information that would help people to see whether the governor is doing right or wrong. If we spin off the story, people will just take it and not research deeper. And it's too important that in this climb, in this season, that we as people in media must push an unbiased, as much as possible, informative approach to giving people details about what is going on in government. Moving on to Vanguard. Palliatives. Buhari's social register lacks credibility. That's from NEC. We've taken that story already, that they're not going to use that as the means of empowering people. In other stories, the DHQ that activates war mode against terror as military kills 23. NCAA fan NMDPR set up probe panel concerning the adulterated Jet A1 fuel. I know that's a follow-up story. Presidential Tribunal, new Justice Ugo's resignation fake. The news of Justice Ugo's resignation is fake. That's from the appeal court. WHO has warned against unsafe syrups in Cameroon and the fact that they may slip into Nigeria and other neighborhoods. The court has ordered DSS to grant Kanu access to his doctor's medical records. Reps to ask NEC to stop increase in electricity tariff. Tinubu mourns as author Kole Omotosho dies. And what other very important story should we take? I think that's basically all the major headlines we have in Vanguard. So, Mariam.
So I have Defense Headquarters said yesterday that the current leadership of the armed forces has activated troops into war mode with a view to countering threats of terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, and economic sabotage being perpetrated against Nigerians. And so, you know, this is like a report that the report the Defense Headquarters gives us. I think they do this every 2 weeks. They said in the last 1 week, troops neutralized 23 terrorists, bandits, and IPOB militants, rescued 17 kidnapped civilians, arrested 32 criminal elements, including terrorists, collaborators, logistics suppliers, oil vandals, and IPOB militants. The Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, also disclosed that 3.525 million naira cash, 125,000 safer, and 60 Ghana cedis were also recovered from criminal elements after operations by troops, adding that they were handed over to the appropriate authorities. They also make a list of all the recovered arms and ammunition also in the course of their work. I think I may have mixed this up with another story where it also explained why the vessels. Remember, I took a story about the vessel that had stolen crude oil, and it was immediately set ablaze. And the military was explaining that that is standard operating procedure for the military. When you find a stolen vessel like that, you burn it to the ground so that no one has any access to it. That's how they. That's how it's supposed to be done militarily. But we know that Nigerians have called against it. Even the House of Reps has also said we should save it. We need to. So I think maybe we need to have a sit down and see what's the best way to do it so that we're able to save it, to use for us, and then
destroy the vessel.
Don't even destroy the vessel. Arrest the perpetrators and reuse the vessel for proper business for our country.
Is it a threat to life?
No, but they said that vessel had been caught twice, and then it was back outside.
But why was it back? That means there were people that were complicit.
It's just to burn it.
Yeah.
What's up for?
Abby.
So I have a story also that says Nigeria speeds up electric vehicle development project.
Welcome. That's welcome news. Good
Nigeria
news.
is on the verge of mass producing electric vehicles as part of measures to shift attention away from the rise in cost of fuel. Already, the federal government will ratify the electric vehicle EV development plan in the coming weeks. And so I'm looking forward to this.
And many other people that are buying fuel at ridiculous price.
The article goes on to say the plan aims to position Nigeria as a leading country in vehicle electrification as works towards achieving zero net emission by 2060.
For a country whose entire income comes from crude oil, right now, it's
we're growing and developing nation.
Wow, it sounds
just a few years ago.
WHO has said something. This will be like our last story, though. WHO has information about a cough syrup that they found in Cameroon that is not safe. It's called Nature Cold. And the announcement is that they found out that there's a batch that was produced in June 27. It contains a very, very high amount of diethylene glycol, which they feel is dangerous. It's a contaminant. And they've asked that in case it comes into Nigeria, we should be aware. The product is called Nature Cold without the E. The Nature Cold is written together, and the packaging of it is saying it was produced in England. I just bought a cough syrup yesterday I sent someone and I didn't know the name. I prefer buying brands that I know their names, and I've used it. So I saw it, that's just highlight the story. That's all we can take on front page review for today. We didn't even get to Tribune, but the stories are very similar, except for the fact that there is a disease outbreak that has killed 10 children in Kafancha. And what's the disease, Maya?
This is a respiratory disease. Children finding it hard to breathe. 13 children have died so far, and that asking parents that when you notice difficulty in your children, just take them straight to the hospital. Medicate.
That's very important, so we had to take that story. That's all we can take on front page review for today. Don't worry, we have juicy story that we're going to be dissecting when we return for the hot topics. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome the grand comedian of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the first. OJ right here, 7 of 7, like you already know.
Benga right here, 7 of 7, like I'm beginning to know.
It's now time for the question.
You don't scare me one bit. Bata, I go drink. So.
Okay. So now one chance for enter. My first question. Do you remember the names of the winners of that edition of StarQuest?
Of course I do.
Why do you?
And I hate myself for this, because I have this question for you. Final question. No. Where outside Nigeria and what year? Think you're the only one that can be wicked.
I am thinking, because I know back in the day.
Don't think. Answer my question quick. You are thinking too much. I don't like it.
The UK.
Final answer. Okay. I said, God, please, let me to perform outside Nigeria.
Wait.
And God gave me a show in Ghana. Drink, my friend, drink. I don't
overthink this thing. See where I can.
Yes, you overthink them.
I would say you should catwalk.
Let's catwalk. Where are we?
No, that's not catwalking.
That's good talking.
Ladies and multiple award-winning actor, producer, ambassador of Edo people, we have Etinosa Idemudia in the building.
Not be first to go police station, they win the case.
Okay.
So you are showing yourself.
I go see as my second question.
You are feeling like a contact the prancing peacock. I'm about to cut your wings. Hello. Now, in the amalgamation of 1914, who was the woman who drew the line of the amalgamation? Who cut the report? Who is the person that used scissors? What is his name?
That woman.
You have done me dirty. I've marked your face. If anything happened to me today, I don't reach my house. Anyway, I'm gonna be chauffeured, so.
You remember now, Abby? Yeah, but you never too thin. Now you remember.
Hey.
If a person who indulges habitually in watching a sexual material is called a voyeur.
That's what they're called.
You clearly say you don't go even get the next one.
Hey, a voyeur.
Voyeur.
Then.
Thanks for staying with us. We received this story from our email. Remember, we said we should be sending us emails about your story. And a lady said that God revealed a certain brother to her while she was still in school as her husband. And yes, they were just friends, nothing intimate. She never threw herself at him. The brother graduated from school, served the country, started working, and nothing happened. After several years of waiting for this brother, she moved on to someone else. And the plan to get married was in place. They had done introduction with this new person who told her that she heard from God as well. After the introduction, this brother that God revealed to her way back when showed up, that he has now heard from God. Actually, he heard from God then, but he wasn't financially capable to carry out he wasn't ready for marriage, so he didn't say anything to her at the time. But now he's ready, and he showed up in her life to tell her that he wants to get married to her. But she just carried out, she had just done her introduction, and with a man that she likes, but she's not in love with the man. The person God revealed to her way back when is the one she's in love with, according to her. So now she has come to us to ask us what she's going to do about this, because she's already about to get married. They've done introduction, they paid a bride price, and she's looking to the ladies of Your View, you wise women, as well as all of you watching, to share a few points to help her know how to approach this. And you can join the conversation by calling us on 0810-764-1679, or you can call us on 090-241-163440. The numbers are on the screen, and we would love to hear from you. You could also tweet to us at YourViewTVC, hashtag, actually, tweet to us, hashtag YourView on TVC. So this story, when I read it, you know, I've heard stories like God spoke to me, but every time I hear those, God spoke to me that you are my husband or you're my wife, it's not sort of like confirmed. I know there are some that are confirmed, but most of the ones I see online, there's never like a confirmation. So one person is carrying this burden, like God told me that you're going to be my wife or you're going to be my husband, and the other person says, let me go and pray, and the person never got a confirmation. But in this case, there's a confirmation. There's confusion. Mariam, what came to your mind? Did you ever say, all these religionist people that have come again? Yeah.
Okay, so it's good to get revelation from God. And, you know, as you said, in this particular story, the way the story has ended is that she got confirmation that it was both sides. Because I used to always wonder, how is it that God would tell one person, you know, this is a partner, and the other person is not informed, you know. So this is okay. But first of all, I believe that in a relationship, you need to court someone, know the person, right? So even though she has confirmation that that other person also received the same revelation, she still doesn't know this person. She still hasn't courted this person. Probably this one who she hasn't, who she didn't get a revelation on, she had a relationship with. She said it took her about a year to finally give him an answer, and she sat down with her elders in church who were the ones that advised her, because you can see in the way she writes it that she puts the blame of her accepting this marriage on the people that advised her. I said, I was counseled into accepting. So obviously, this is not someone that is happy to be in this new relationship. But so for me, if that's the case, I do not go ahead with it. Because you'll be making two people miserable, you'll be making yourself sad, and you'll be making this man, this young man that has waited a whole year to hear from you sad, because you go into a marriage thinking, this is not supposed to be my husband, this is not the person I'm supposed to be with. But also, I would not say quickly jump into marriage with this one that you said God revealed to you. You have to take the time to have a relationship with this person, get to know him, and see the spiritual or physical manifestation of the spiritual revelation. So I don't think it's such a big deal, personally. I just feel that she's wondering I think she just wants to know what's the best or kindest way to tell this person that I've agreed to that I cannot go on with this relationship. Because from her message, she clearly knows who she wants to be with. But she does not know how to tell this person in a way that will be kind, or in a way that he will not feel too heartbroken. Because that's what she says. She says she doesn't want to break someone's heart. I'm sorry, in life, we will break hearts and our hearts will be broken. And if you are not sure of this person you are about to go into a relationship, a whole marriage with, then please do not make yourself miserable and another person miserable.
Toby, but they've paid the right price, you know, and especially considering how we are as Africans, that we prioritize and place a lot of importance on the traditional marriage. So essentially, she's already married.
Exactly.
She's actually already married to this person traditionally. They've been an exchange of bride price. And do you think that considering she's creating this idealizing this guy, that's the guy that she feels that originally God told her to will be her husband, or what would you advise would be her approach to addressing this?
First, I would say that there are no marriages without issues. So even if God has told you that this person is your husband, when you eventually marry this person, you still face challenges. So when it is that we're clouded by God said, put in the work to say that, okay, things will eventually come up. My decision to stay with this person is a major determining factor. But my own pain point is to the guy. Why would you wait 4 years? Why would you know, because if she didn't get somebody else to marry, she probably must have just been floating like that. And, you know, for some guys, they wake up when they hear that the person they love is getting married. So they now want to, I actually love you. God has, you know, and they now bring in those scenarios into place. For me, I would say personally, I would say try to still stay with this guy.
The one you're already married to?
The one, because she's already married technically, except the marriage has not been consummated.
Okay, I love this. So I have somebody saying, where's your heart? Your heart is with the other person. Just nicely tell the person and move on. And I like that somebody else is saying it from another perspective. So let me hear from you. Mrs. Fash.
Yes, ma'am.
When you read the story, what was your first thought?
Okay, so I'm going to come from a different angle. When I read the story, I said to myself that those butterflies that, you know, make all the noise in our belly, after a while, they just go, they just disappear. So if her decision is based on love, feelings, then I don't think it's so objective. I think it's worth sitting down to weigh all the factors. Because, yeah, turning between two men, two prospective guys, but you need to ask yourself, I mean, my auntie used to say, make sure you get married to somebody who loves you more. No, don't love the guy more, you as the lady. You know, we always hear that, and I found out that is true. So before you decide that, okay, yeah, God said to me, I want to be happy, I would say first and foremost, a lifetime, if marriage is for a lifetime is too long enough for you to make someone unhappy, to make yourself unhappy, make someone unhappy. The guy does not deserve it, you don't deserve it. So that's point number one. Point number two is you need to be objective before you put your family's integrity at risk. Before you expose everybody, because I know this would not be easy. It's going to be a long road. I mean, bringing the families together to say our daughter has changed her mind, it would involve a lot from your parents. So you need people who understand you, and you need people who are objective. So if this guy had waited this long, I'm asking myself, how many other times is he going to wait when you guys get married? I hope he will not wait when you guys want to pick school. I hope he will not wait for you to say, I'll get back to you. Because this is a red alert for me. I'm asking myself. Okay, so another thing is it's important that she goes through counsel. So it's not every marriage counseling that ends in the wedding marriage. Sometimes they get to a point and they see that values align. So if she goes through counseling and she's objective, she might find out that that thing on ambition and purpose, I hope is not sentiment driven. I hope it's not because this is someone, because I mean, it could be a crush. It might be infatuation. So I like to agree with what Miriam said. Give it time. No immediate decision.
You people hear from God and you pray to God and you have not addressed the word from God in this matter. Let me take Festus. Festus, please. Did you understand this? This lady said she heard from God. What's your opinion?
It's better for the lady to go back. I have a similar situation.
Okay.
Yes, something similar. And today they are still happy together.
Please, can you clarify what you mean by something similar?
The lady went back. You know, just the same scenario.
Okay.
That you have here.
She should stay with her with the person she's married to now, or go back to the person God told her to marry?
No, go back, because this current one is because how for you. The real love is not there. People advise her. And you know, internally she's not happy. So how can you have only one life to live? And then you are now managing. You know? So go back to the other one. Where your heart is.
So it's...
Yes.
Thank you so much, Festus. We'll take a break. When we come back, I want to hear from pastors. I want to hear from people that have also heard from God concerning who they should marry. Because from all I'm hearing now, it's as if when we hear from God, we're hearing from our heart, and our heart is in love with the person. So let's reconsider this when we come back from this break. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome the one who can make time stand still forever, Mr. Kelechi Amadi. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, my brother.
You love that intro, Abi?
Yeah. It was great.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
We try like that.
Thank you.
Now my question, which I feel is a cheap question.
Oh, go ahead.
What does ISO stand for?
That is it. I think I'll drink.
No, you're joking.
I'm not joking.
Kelechi Amadi. No. Shay, you didn't whine me. You're whining me now.
I think I'll drink.
Huh?
No problem.
Okay.
I've always known this as ISO. I never bothered to know what it means. I know what it means, but I never bothered to know what the acronym is. Tell me the brand of camera that I use, so much so that I even became an ambassador. That's very easy. It's out there.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
I just said, look, I give you this one as a token of my appreciation.
Sony.
Drink!
I'm not done. You did not say final answer.
It's final answer.
You did not ask me if that was my final answer.
You don't have any choice again. It's only
Nikon.
How many cameras do they have? My
Nikon.
friend to drink. I gave you a very easy something.
Nikon now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, La General, the one and only Pere Egbe. Which of the following is false about teeth? We are born with 20 primary teeth. Teeth are the hardest substance in the body. Teeth are the strongest bones in the body.
Teeth is not a bone, actually.
Teeth can self-repair.
The strongest bone in the body, no. Teeth is not a bone.
Final answer?
Teeth is not a bone. You know what came to my head now? That sound. Crickets.
So, editor, you can put that cricket sound there. You can still put it down too.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We're discussing the story about a lady conflicted. She finds herself that she heard from God concerning someone, and a few years after she met another person who she now ended up traditionally married to, and the person God told her about now came back. So we're trying to find a resolution to the matter. And when I read the story, my first opinion was God doesn't make a mistake. If you truly heard from God, then it would have aligned. If the fact that somebody is showing up in your life after the introduction, could it be a message from God to be like, don't go ahead with this marriage? Or it could be a message from God to say, I deliberately made it come late so that you will not make a mistake and marry the person that you're just having a crush on. And there's another perspective of the fact that when you pray, when I was single and I was praying, and I've shared, I had a timeline, so it was a case of which of these options would fit into my timeline and fit into my values. So when I was telling a counselor that I wanted to pray about this option, he said, you would hear from God what is in your heart. He said, what God will tell you. God will, when you are praying, God, help me to know which of these men I should marry. The one you love most in your heart is the one God will tell you. God will not tell you to go and marry the one that you already feel, you have seen the person's scale leg, the person does not have money, you've already listed. So it will give you what is in your heart. So sometimes when we say God is speaking to me, God is actually just telling you what is already in your heart.
So you saying people are just speaking to themselves?
Mariam, I'm just, sometimes.
Because when you put it that way, then you are going to make those of us who already question these revelations, like, is it really about God, or is it just our thoughts, our inner thoughts? But, I just wanted to say, you mentioned that God is not a God of confusion. He will not reveal someone to you, and then you find yourself just at the point of being with someone else. But then I remember the story of Abraham and Isaac. Abraham took his son all the altar, and just as he was about to slaughter his child, God brought the ram. So God can be anything and everything. He will just be what you need, what you need at the time. God is about God, is not about us, I feel. So in that case, I will not call it confusion. It may just be a way of letting her believe or what has happened. And I think we need to put into perspective the fact that this is someone who is pining for somebody that is not the person that she's planning to get married to. And so I'm thinking for that young man that she's about to make his life miserable. She's not happy going there. She has already said the reason she's in that, she has even gone as far as she's done, is because she was counseled into that relationship. There's somebody's life they're about to go and make unhappy. Don't do it. Also, she needs to be willing to say, if I break it here, if I let go of this one, I may find myself with no one. So,
or I might go to the other grass
and find that
and it's not green.
And it's not green. So she has to be willing to do these two things. Let that man go because he does not deserve to be unhappy since she doesn't love him. And then she must be willing to know that she may lose both, and if she meets the second person, if she goes ahead to be with the other person, it may not just work out the way she thought it would work out. But what if it works out and they are happy?
You want to just jump in?
Yes.
The question of her leaving the guy is coming because the guy showed up. If he didn't show up, she would have gone ahead with this guy.
And
still have made somebody miserable.
And still be pining for what if anything goes wrong, she will remember. But this one, maybe I should have just waited for the right person. But Toby made a very, very valid point earlier. She spoke about the fact that why did the guy wait? And we've heard such stories in many scenarios, especially concerning this issue of marriage, where a man would feel, I like Mariam. And because I don't have money, or I see Mariam is so clean, she's so fine, I would go and wait until I am packaged and I'm ready before I come and meet Mariam. But I really like her. Now I'll be a friend from afar. Then suddenly you heard she's engaged and she's married. You'll not be
showing up, you're not ready.
Or you will now speak up at that time. So let's address the idea of men that wait. Then before we just a few seconds before we bring in we have someone who's going to give us a different perspective. I'm sure you guys would like. So what do you think about that?
I'm also asking myself, I don't think there's a bone of contention here. I feel even if the second guy didn't show up, it would be wrong to get married to somebody that you don't have that twist, that thing, that deep feeling, because marriage is beyond physical attraction and a sense of responsibility. Is way beyond that. So even if the second guy didn't show up, marrying the other guy seems like something in the wrong. Okay, so it just almost seems like she would still be unhappy. So talking about the second guy, I would want other people who are not in love with the second guy to also get involved. So it's not just a question of this is how I feel, so because I feel this way, all the boxes, I'm just ticking all of them. See, when she said, I find peace with this guy, our dreams, our ambition align, you can tell that this girl is so in love. We are not going to disregard the love, but let's bring some people that are not in love with that guy to also question it. I mean, it's already a tough situation, seeing that the bride price had already been paid.
So let's bring in our, well, he comes on the show a lot to talk about relationship, but he's actually a media practitioner. Joining us on the show right now, we'll be bringing Theo. He's a media practitioner, he's a media consultant, he's a marriage counselor, and his name is Theo Akatugba. Welcome to the show, sir. Can you hear me?
Good morning to you, beautiful ladies of Your View.
Good morning, sir.
It is a pleasure to join you this morning on this interesting topic of man hearing from God and not seeing physical reactions yet.
Manifestation.
So it's good to be with you.
All right, so you've heard our part of the conversation. I want to hear from you, your initial thoughts, and maybe you help us. And I love what you started with, that a person, human hearing from God, a man hearing from God and not seeing the physical manifestation yet. And the idea of probably waiting and how to wait, probably. I don't want to put thoughts in your words in your mouth. I want to hear from you. What would you say this lady should do?
The good thing about this presentation is that the people in this story, the lady had personal revelation. It was not that someone else told her as a sign of prophecy that this is the man for you.
Yeah.
She said God told her. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So personal revelations are true in Christianity, in today's world, in the dispensation we are in. God is actively, by the power of his Spirit, speaking to every child and everyone, every human being. And so if she indeed got a good impression that the man that is before her or close to her is her husband, but was waiting for the man to get a confirmation, that was what was happening. She was waiting that God also will speak to him and he will notice her and come after her. So she waited, and this man did not react or did not behave in the way she expected. And she said that she did a good thing. She did not throw herself at him. In that light, she had a revelation, but did not take the step of faith. She didn't activate the interest of the man. For marriage issues, man or woman must activate the interest of the other. He who gets the revelation must make the move. She didn't make the move. If you remember in the story of Boaz in the Bible, Esther was personally, Naomi told her, go sleep under his feet.
Wow.
Perhaps he will notice you. And what happened? Boaz noticed her and marriage came through. So one of the parties who got revelation must take a step of faith. God told Joshua that I've given you the land, but be bold and courageous. So her husband was shown to her, but she did not activate the interest of the husband. And then the man strayed away, and another man came. So the one that was readily available, she agreed to. Then the man caught the revelation much more later. Then it was too late. So this is my reaction to that. We hear revelations. God speaks to us on all subjects. It is how we interpret those messages of God, the very silent voice, because the voice is going to be silent in the chaos. How do you react? How do you, as a Christian, live your life in such a way that you understand? This lady understood, but she did not take a step in action to convert into reality.
I honestly, Mariam is, I'm shocked. I am shocked, but I would like to hear Mariam is loving what you're saying.
Yes, because usually he and I are always on opposite sides of the, when he gives one opinion, I'm always on the opposite side. But today I really like, you know, what you said about activating her interest, you know. And it just, because I was going to say it eventually when we were talking, like she didn't give him green light. We say it was green light, should have giving him the green light, which she did not do. And I think this is a conversation about women who are growing up in church, young ladies in church or Christian ladies, and they're thinking, how do I conduct myself? So I don't come across as if I'm desperate, I am unchristian. And so she kept herself really cut off from him, hoping that the Holy Spirit will also do the job of green lighting each other. But I will not blame her because the boy himself did not give her any green light either. So she wasn't even sure if he liked her. The only thing I like about what the boy did, and that one was explained when he came back, he said that he was not financially ready or, materially ready. And I think because we say it here all the time that we want young men to be, don't go into relationships or start families when you are not able to cater for that family. So I just thought that's a good thing that you said about giving someone green light. And I find that in most relationships, actually, women first give green light. A man comes out to you, he thinks he was the one that first saw you, but the girl has seen you long before you even saw her and had arranged in so many ways, green lighted the situation. So, Mr. Theo, I agree with that, activating her interest.
So, you know what, the idea of, so I was trying to bring in a different angle, and it's not to say that we don't hear from God, because truly, as a Christian, I know that God speaks to every one of us. But, I mentioned earlier that there was an advice I was given that, or an opinion I was given, that when I'm asking God to guide me, it will be the person I like that I might end up hearing as the person that I should be acting on. And some people were of the opinion that, so is it that you don't believe that God speaks to us? Could it be that she already likes this person so much that she heard from God? There was also another opinion of, why did the man wait? Should we blame the man for waiting? How would you address those two? Thank you.
First of all, even if God knows that something is good for you, and the circumstances are not right for those things to come to pass, the revelation will still be given to you so that you can adequately prepare or position yourself to fulfill that revelation. What happens in that case is that that young man was not financially capable, but that is not the will or the revelation. The revelation is that this is your man. Even though he's not ready at this time, there will be a journey to make him adequately prepared for the marriage. But a relationship can develop, and sacrifices may be required from the lady who got the revelation, because if God says this is your thing, it doesn't mean you will not fight or work for it. For what God reveals to you, there will be a process. So she needed to give him green light straight away and then activate his interest. Over time, young man's mind will be stayed on her. The man will be considering, but he will say, I have no resources. Then she will go on to encourage him and plan with him until they reach that point where he can afford to pay the marriage or to conduct the marriage rites. So for me, in everything one does, we have agency as human beings, and God said in the Bible that he who finds a wife, not he who I give. He who finds a wife, find a good thing and obtains favor. Meaning, God wants us to make these choices with the fragment of truths and information and doctrines that we have heard. So when you are making this, you make them within the confine of God's will, which are the commandments and God's instruction. She is not expected to go sleep with him, but give him green light. Show him that you are giving green light in service, in sacrifice, in constantly being with him and doing things that ordinarily other women will not have done for him.
Mr. Theo, let me bring in Toby, because she's itching to agree or disagree. Do you agree that she should have given green light, or where do you stand?
Okay, so my question, he mentioned something about the will of God. Okay. And sometimes we tend to think that the will of God is just one person. So would you agree that God gives you only one chance or one will, because we hear people talk about the fact that, oh, I missed my husband, or maybe there was a relationship issue that happened in the past, and ladies, most especially, those are the ones I interact with mostly, they live in that guilt, saying that if I did not do X, Y, Z, I would have been married by now. So is it that God creates only one person for you to marry? Because sometimes, when we think about the fact that God has so many children on earth, you now want to stick to one person as the will of God. So that's
I really want to hear your answer to that.
That's a good question. Now, the will of God the will of God is not in the man you marry. When God has a will for you, God has a will that is broader and bigger. His will is to bring you to an expected end, not an expected end according to your desires, but according to his ultimate goal for your spiritual and material destiny. If you miss a man that is man A, that your heart knit with, because your heart connected with that man, and marriage did not occur, it does not mean that you have missed the husband of your life. Another man could come along that will satisfy the requirement to bring you to God's ultimate will. God wants a woman to come to an expected end. Let me give you a simple, practical example. God wants a woman to be prosperous in her business. Let me give you an example. But man A has the quality to help her succeed, but she missed man A, either through to the interplay of forces, of activities, of whatever. Another man could come around that could do the same thing. Doesn't mean you have missed a man. So the will is not about one man, that once you miss that, you have missed a husband or your husband for life. When Jonah was to go to Nineveh, Jonah decided I won't go, but he fell into the belly of the fish. He arrived in Nineveh. He could have gone with a bus. The will of God is Nineveh should hear the message.
Okay, so I'm hearing a few things. When I come back, I'll bring in Mrs. Fash to throw in our own questions. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosity.
It shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked, and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty, erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the art.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing Love Crossroads, and we have Theo Akatuba with us. But before we go to him, Ronke has a lot to say concerning his opinion. Your opinion, sir. All right.
Okay, so Mr. Theo, thank you so much. I enjoyed listening to you. You left me a little bit worried, though, and I want to talk about it. So in this part of the world, let's say our culture, Nigeria, most of these things are subject to cultural and spiritual interpretations. So I'm asking myself, is there a measuring line for a green light? What some of those women got into those shoes? Because I don't think there's any woman that would have desired to get into marriage hoping to become the man. But when you give green light, okay, the guy also accepts, before you know it. I hear some ladies tell me, do you know that I even did 60% of my marriage because I believed in my guy, but he was not just ready. And then I'm asking myself, is this going to continue forever? Isn't this a sign that we need to really talk about? When men appear, okay, so I heard from God, the lady heard from God, and she was almost certain that this is the person she was supposed to marry. I want to believe the only reason why she would say yes should not be because he came to her. She should also still subject it to test. I want to know what you think about it.
Before he answers that question, let's take Lucky. Okay. Lucky has called into the show. Good morning, Lucky. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning. I really love your you. You know, I watch it every morning. I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Yes. Actually, I've been in her shoes. This lady that you saying this to, you know, this woman in question, you know, I'm a young man. I met my former wife the same way, you know. When I saw her at the restaurant, she laughed while they were discussing, and something told me to turn. I looked at her. She was a beautiful girl. Something told me, this is your wife. I approached her. From there, we started dating, you know. Within a few weeks, you know, one lady who is my cousin came to my house to visit me in Abuja and saw her because she was in my house to visit me too as well. It happened that they are in the same school in UNN then. The girl went back to school and made inquiry about her and called me on phone and said, brother, this girl is getting married, or that they paid her dowry. You understand me? And I said, no, that is God that told me that this is my wife, or that nobody will tamper with this girl, you know. One thing to the other, leads to the other, and I wanted to pull out. But something was telling me, no, this is your wife. And the girl saw that I was more flashier than the other guy that paid her dowry. She insisted that I'm the one that she wants to marry. And they told the other guy, they returned the other guy's money, and I went to marry this girl. Guess what? It did not last more than 1 year, the marriage.
Eh?
The marriage did not last more than 1 year, you know. So when you think that God told you something, go back to God and kneel down and ask God, is this really you that is talking to me, or devil? You understand? Then we parted ways. I met another girl in a party. I just love at the first time. Something told me again, this is your wife. I married her within 3 months. And today, she didn't love me at the first time that she saw me. I loved her more than she likes me, you know. But today, we have lived for 9 good years. She's the best of wives.
Oh.
So that lady should look well. She should look well. That guy that says that it's God that told him to come back or whatever. He should look well. The guy that paid that dowry, you should stick with that guy.
Lucky, I'm happy your story ended. You had a taste of both sides, and I'm happy you have a good marriage now. But that's why we're here, to hear different opinions, hear different perspectives, and the person that find themselves within the situation can pick and choose the one that works best for them. So going back to the question that Runke asked, Mr. Theo, please go ahead.
Yes, what she asked is about when you seem to have had a confirmation that this is your husband. And a lot of women have gone into marriage believing that this is a confirmation. This is my husband. And only to get into the marriage and life become difficult. They become breadwinners and all of that. And they began to wonder, did God actually speak to me regarding this person? That's the problem. That's what she's presented. Now the question is God's will. The fact that God confirmed that the person is does not mean that life will always be the way you expect. But life will end the way God expects. For example, Satan knows that this is your man, but Satan will afflict you with challenges to deny or doubt God. That is why Satan came. So you might marry a man financially buoyant. 2 years down the line, he is wrecked, and you begin to wonder, what has happened? Satan has put a test in your way, whether you will uphold God's will or you will go against it. So, and the fear is, how long will this continue? No one knows how long a wilderness experience will last. But what is sure, that God will deliver those who stay to his will and his path. For example, God said, do not divorce. Divorce is not my will. So when you enter the marriage, test will come. Even though God confirmed, including that God entered your room to show you, Satan can still tempt you or test you, whether you even know that God you saw. After all, when Jesus was baptized, God spoke to Jesus that this is my son in whom I'm well pleased. As soon as he went into the wilderness, Satan tested him and said, if God is your father, throw yourself down and he will take charge.
In Nigeria in general, any small thing, put God into it. You understand? I am not saying there is no God, but there are things that we do that our mind, we just take decision within our mind. And at the end of the day, we say it is God that says, why am I saying this? Now, when we look into the book of Genesis, chapter 3 also, when Adam blamed God for giving him a woman after the woman has committed. Where are you? Why are you naked? Say, the woman you gave to me. Fine. The woman you gave to me. And from there, God told Adam, from today, I don't have harm. You will choose your woman yourself. So whatever you see from that woman, you don't blame me, you blame yourself. So why are we bringing God into this issue? That lady has taken her own decision. She was dating somebody, right? And then she suddenly, or some people push her into, are you going to remain with this poor guy? Yeah, why don't you move on? And then she went now to marry another guy. And today she's maybe kind of what she expected, she didn't see it, and she wants to come back. If God says, because I will not still put God out of this, but I will still put God out of it, it should not be everything that will bring God into, most especially in marriage. God can put me and a woman into marriage, and He can put us into test. This might be hard. And starting the marriage, this might be rosy. Later in the day, it will be hard. So it's not all enjoyment. I think for me, I took marriage as enduring each other. Eventually, at the end of the day, we will now enjoy ourselves.
Okay. So, thank you so much, Mr. Stephen. Thank you so much, Mr. Stephen. So he said he takes marriage as enduring each other and later enjoying. Mr. Theo was, you want to...
Yes, I wanted to ask, I think I'm still waiting to hear from Mr. Theo what he thinks about what the man should have done. That's the man that had the revelation. What would have been the proper way to handle it, the revelation, so that you are not accused of taking too long to show up? You know, he has said that he was not financially ready. But, you know, we have some of the ladies on the table who think that he was just wasting time. And so someone who was sharper and wanted her, loved her better was the one that showed up. Is there a way he could have behaved to show that, you know, he was interested but just not ready at the time?
Very, very, very good question. When you get the man naturally and spiritually is expected to go after the woman, to make a presentation to the woman that I have found in you, the qualities that are good enough for a wife, and I'm interested in you. However, I am currently not in a financial state, after all, to fulfill the marriage rights. Therefore, I want us to go through the journey. I will marry you if things get better. He must not only say it and go to bed. He must keep acting in the bank before you make, because the time you will marry the woman will not coincide with the time you might have resources. Yeah. So your job as a man is to keep working towards the ultimate goal, but keep the woman you have found close to you with constant conversation. After all, a pilot that is trying to fly a plane must also speak to the passengers before they take off. That this is the journey, this is what's going to happen. So the man must communicate, he must make himself attractive to her and ward away other intruders, because he must do so by the word of mouth and caution that I'm interested in you. Stop talking to this man. We have a goal. The man must continue to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Theo. Mr. Lucky has called in from Ikorodu. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Okay, so have you had personal experience on this, or what do you want to advise the lady that is going through this crossroad right now?
Quick one. I would like to first say, that if she actually, both of them actually confirmed that it was God that spoke to them. Because in the business of marriage, sincerely speaking, the counsel of God is ultimate. The counsel of God, you don't take it out. You can't take it out. The step of the righteous man is ordered by the Lord. Psalm 100 says, it is him that has made us, not we ourselves. So if the God who made them give counsel to both of them, confirming that they have met for each other, then our advice is that they should yield to the counsel. Now, quick one. It doesn't mean that when God says both of them are meant for each other, that there will be no challenges. This is one of the issues we have in most homes. They say that I heard from God. Why am I facing this? We are all on earth. As long as we are on planet Earth, whether you are a believer or a non-believer, we will always face the same challenges. Please, let's know this fact. They will face the same crises other people are facing in their homes. But the assurance is that the revelation, the confirmation from God is the evidence they take to Him. Father, you said we are meant for each other, let these things pass. He gives them grace to pass through. So if she heard from God after the bride side of the day, that one is strange. Our God is not an author of confusion. If they have accepted and done all the traditional rites, then that one, I will begin to wonder where is that counsel coming from. Because God is an all-knowing God. He will not give a counsel that will bring confusion to families or cause harm to others.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lucky from Ikorodu. Let me hear from you, Toby. I know that you've heard different perspectives. Has that made you change your mind, or are you having like a, would you have a more broad opinion on how she should approach the situation?
Okay, so Miriam mentioned something earlier, and it was about Abraham and Isaac. You know, God gave the word, go and take your son who you love. And he went. When he got there, God still told him again, look up, and he saw a ram. You see, most times I believe that people take the word of God and do not ask him about what he's saying part time. So the conversation was that he found out 4 years ago. But was that what God was still saying as at, this present time? And the lady also held on to the word that she heard while on campus. But at this present stage in her life, is that what God is still saying? So I think sometimes, rather than just hold on and say, this is what God said to me, in the current situation you're in, because...
He already said, look up. And you want to not slaughter what he has said.
Because he has said, and most times when we hear these words, they are like progressive.
The way people, the way we quote Bible to interpret as in different things. Yes. Gosh. We have a celebrity guest. It's Celebrity Friday. We do gist and then we bring in celebrity guests. So, and I really want us to give this young lady, we've given a lot of advice. I'm sure that she will find something, but we'll be doing like a round of final words. Let me hear from you, Ronke.
Okay, thank you, Tokwe. So I would still say that in all of this, I know counsel, we can almost assume that counsel led her into the arms of the second guy, but I would still say she needs to subject herself to more counsel. And this time around, people who are not in love with the guy should also have an opinion so that they are objective, because it's a very sensitive one. So I'm not saying go further, and I'm not saying you need to stop. I'm saying you need to take time to think through this and receive counsel.
Maya?
Yes, I was going to say that with the man that she's already started some marital rights with, I've heard people who have said, this is my wife. That time I was chasing her. She was following one small boy with one big head. But I was waiting for her. So it could also be a situation where he's saying, she may meet him and say, you know what, I've always been conflicted about going ahead with you because of this person. And he has now come to marry me. I'm talking to that man now, if there's a man like that listening. I believe if something is meant for you, it can go and it will come back to you. So if that man truly believes that that's the woman for him, he can let her go and give her time for her to face what she needs to face. And if she leaves eventually, that means she was not meant for you, and that's better for you in the long run.
one of the things I've heard even from Mr. Theo, let's have your final words concerning this before we round off on this particular story.
My final word is that God is speaking with us every time on all issues, personal and generally. And it is upon us to understand the ways of God. They are not going to appear like. A man can be revealed to you and he will not look like the man that is in your mind, in your dream. It doesn't mean that that is not the man. It is now for you to discover him. Crude is crude until it is brought out and refined. Same way for the man.
Okay, so thank you so much, Mr. Theo Akatuba. Obviously, one thing I've heard from everybody is the importance of time and not rushing into making any decision. At this point in time, whether you choose to stay married or you choose to stay with the traditional marriage, which I see as you're already married, or you choose to say, I'm going to go into that into a new relationship with the man that I heard from God, I think you should give time to analyze the situation, pray. For those that are, this particular person is a spiritually inclined person who kept mentioning God. That's why we are always referring her back to God, because we have some people that are of the opinion like, what if I'm not a Christian? Well, if you share your story and you're not a Christian, we'll give you the relevant advice to you. But because person is a Christian, that's what we're saying. Take the time out. Give yourself time to pray and understand that whatever the instruction I'm going to be getting now, even if it is not the one I originally got or the one I really like, I will go with it. And like she said, counsel, like you said, time. Give that time. Don't rush into anything. You're going to spend your life with someone. It's not a rushing decision. It's not a I regret decision. It's a decision that I am going to live with whatever comes, good and bad. It's not all. Marriage will have good and bad. And we hope you find value in this. Please send us your mail to let us know you got value. And if you also have personal experiences you'd like to share with us, don't forget to send that story, send the question to yourview@tvccommunications.tv. We would also table your conversation, your story like this, and I'm sure you'll get more value from it. All right, next, our celebrity guest will be joining us on the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome the grand comedian of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Gbenga Adeyinka the First. OJ right here, 7 of 7, like you already know.
Gbenga right here, 7 of 7, like I'm beginning to know.
It's now time for the question.
You don't scare me one bit. Bata bata, I go drink. So,
okay. So now one chance for Inter. My first question. Do you remember the names of the winners of that edition of StarQuest?
Of course I do.
Why do you?
And I hate myself for this, because I have this question for you. Final question. No. Where outside Nigeria and what year? I think you're the only one that can be wicked.
I am thinking, because I know back in the day.
Don't think. Answer my question quick. You are thinking too much. I don't like it.
The UK.
Final answer. Okay. I said, God, please, let me to perform outside Nigeria.
Wait.
And God gave me a show in Ghana. Drink, my friend, drink. I don't
overthink this thing. See where I can.
Yes, you overthink them.
I would say you should catwalk.
Let's catwalk. Where are we?
No, that's not catwalking.
That's good talking.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hate Kuti in the view. It's still 7 of 7, and we've been doing a whole lot of protesting. The only thing that remains is just to carry placard.
It's about 5 of 7, to be honest, because ask your question. I have so much to speak about once we finish.
We'll not give you the time because it's 7 of 7.
I will make the time now. He said he will not ask questions about science.
No.
Neuroplasticity.
And based on...
He asked a question that was subjective about high life. And he did not finalize his answer about a Kuti question where there are only 3 of us.
Editor, scratch this part out.
That could have possibly composed the music.
Editor, scratch this part out.
Stupidity is an act of ignorance.
Hey God, my dear.
Was composed.
Thanks for staying with us. Joining us on the show today is a director, filmmaker, and actor. He has been in the movie industry for over 2 decades and he has produced a lot of movies. Welcome with us, Onilegbale Alesh, real one. Onilegbale Alesh, real one. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Onilegbale. Oh, Yoruba girl. I just embarrassed myself on national television. Right. I'm a Yoruba girl. I don't know. Onilegbale.
Yeah, that's a native name in Lagos.
Wow. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Please.
So, you know the way you've seen somebody in movies so many times, and
I feel like you know them.
I got the name, but I did not even know that. It was when I said, I was like, I didn't know this face. Good to have you on the show. So
Thank you.
Obviously you've been around for a while. You listened to our previous segment. What was your opinion concerning that?
Well, maybe because I'm more of a native person. I'm a victim of marriage experience too. I got married before, and now I'm in another marriage. But like the lady in question, I'm always wanting people to do what is got to do about your own art.
Thank you.
Nobody's going to live in a marriage with you. You're living in there yourself. You should be able to define what joy, what you're actually looking for in a marriage, and how you think you can survive in a marriage. So if you cannot get those things together, my sisters, on your own. I had my own experience, but to God be the glory. The new marriage I am enjoying now, it's another experience like, okay, fine. I was one beating, she was one beating, but we are best of couple today. My marriage is the most meaningful thing to me in my life now.
Oh. We have to talk about your marriage.
Yes.
Can we talk about,
You're welcome.
Can we just a little, I don't know how much you'll be willing to share, but like, what was the situation in the first marriage that you thought it was best to leave?
Thank you. Again? Like our own case, the person we are actually deliberating on our topic, mine was even sweeter because I went to see a friend and I saw a lady and I'm like, who's she? She said, mama, can you call me? Yeah, how far? She said, she said, I don't get you. I said, that's just what I'm looking for. And truly, she's not here and there lady. She was still schooling there. I was part of a program, like supporting her in every way I could, and we were best together till she got pregnant. At that point, I wasn't even ready, but she made up her mind like, oh, fine, she's not going anywhere. And when it happened like that, we have to just take the necessary steps. My parents, our parents, and everything. I'm just going to like make it here. There is this simple thing that I realized then. My mistake, our mistake, the inability to manage ourselves very well. And we allowed it to escalate. And before we could open our eyes,
that becomes
and the two families cannot help it. So I learned a lesson then. It wasn't something so bad. But when it happened, I don't know, maybe our youthful couldn't help us to manage it very well, and we ended up going different ways. But today, maybe she too got her own experience for where she was coming. And based on my own experience, this one has been very understandable, and we don't really take unnecessary chances. Whenever anything happens, if she doesn't call me, I'll call her.
That is, yes.
Thank you.
So that's why I said, like, I'm a native person and I always believe in handling your things your way. Because once you are in something, it's about you and not about any other person. To the extent, like, right now, I've learned a lot about not allowing family to have say in your own marriage. They can advise you, don't give in their say. Because you're the one living in the marriage and you're the one dealing with...
People listening, one like, that's true. And I'm happy that you did not allow your first failed marriage to color your new relationship. I'd like Toby to throw in a question. Let's get back into your experience as a director, actor, producer.
Well, that is another blessing in my life.
Toby, you have a question?
Yes, I do. In your work as a director, what basically has been your most challenging thing to deal with? You know, because most times people say, oh, directors are, you know, we know all those stories. The women, they leave home, they're not, you know, because, you know, when we speak about marriage now, I try to think about it for a minute. How do you cope? Does your wife go with you on set, or you just leave the communication lines open such that you're so truthful to each other?
Well, our job is not different from any other jobs. There's no job that doesn't have its challenges, its ups and downs. But the truth about it, you know, you're actually using marriage to be, I mean, I know her movements, I know where she could be at every point in time, and I even know maybe when I try to reach her, network can be a challenge at times. I know who to get in touch to pass my message, which she's going to get back to me too. So my own job to me, I see it like any other person's job. It's just for you to, like, okay, learn how to go about it, learn how to deal about it so that it won't affect anything.
All right.
Yeah. Good to have you again, sir.
Thank you, Madam.
Yeah, so, coincidentally, I'm married to an actor.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So many times when people see me, they ask the same default question, the same line. So how does it feel watching your husband on set? What is it like? Are you not scared? What if tomorrow you just hear something? You know, they tend to prompt fear. And I give them the same default response. My husband doesn't need a camera to do anything. I mean, if he wants to do anything, he doesn't need a camera. So I'm not scared because there's a camera. I know him, and I know that he enjoys doing what he does. But then I'm asking myself, is there... So let's look at the financial aspect of this acting thing. He's an actor, one day hoping to become a director. He's produced a few movies. Well, I'd like you to tell us, from everything we see on the news, when the actors are getting older, you almost assume like they have spent so much time and made so little out of it. Do you have that fear as well, and how do you hedge against it?
Financially.
Oh, well, to me, I'm not going to say there is anything I'm actually afraid of or getting feared about. The truth about life is, when you're making your move, when you're a journey, you have to keep like tidying things along as you're going, so that when you get to a point that you won't be able to actually like get a help or an assistance, you can actually do with what you have been picking along. And truly, this life is all about, I'm a very real person, like I'm a very realistic person. I don't form on what I'm not supposed to form on. Like, I don't call myself what I am not. I actually just don't want to take us back, but when maybe the person that did the write-up on me, I'm not a director. I'm a producer, I'm an actor.
Okay.
But fine, I don't want to like be touching that. But the truth about life is, we have a challenge, not even only in the industry, in every aspect of other life, even some traders that are supposed to be living right below what they are earning. But they will choose to push it up beyond that. And you know, the moment you have something higher than what you can handle, it's always going to be bringing it like this.
It's lifestyle.
And to be fair and candid, there is no way you choose to do something in the way it's not supposed to be done, which is not going to bring back on you. It might bring what you might not even like. Fine. I'm not saying there are some people that never tried it, but what million other people tried? You can actually be the unfortunate one that I'm going to get.
You get caught with it.
So I don't always like doing what people do. I do what makes me so comfortable and what I'm pleased with. But on the other hand, about our veterans that they are having challenges at their retiring age. See, this is what I tell everybody that actually raised the topic with me. I keep asking them, I said, will anybody plan or wish that when I grow older, I'm going to be challenged with something that I won't be able to handle? No. But things happen. Like my father is like an average man. Was very strong, agile, and is a very disciplined person. When my father got to the age of 67 years, we discovered he's having kidney problem. We battled it for 2 years, but after the second year, he gave up the ghost. But thank God, when he was raising us, he raised us to like be responsible for whatever you are meant to be responsible for. So while he was going through his own challenge, me, this one I'm talking about, my present wife, there were things she kept in my custody then for our own personal purposes. But that time that I was facing the challenge of my own father's ailments, I made use of those things. Fine, I didn't tell her. She got angry, like, I'm not saying what you did was bad, but you should have prepared my own mind to know what I'm counting on is not there again. And that's another lesson I learned. But to God be the glory, I have a younger brother that was even more supportive to me that period. In a nutshell, this I'm saying, my father is not an actor, or was never an actor. But when he got to his old age, he got challenged. So every other person can have any challenge at any stage in life. When they come out to ask for help, if they help them, so be it.
Yes.
If they
they see us, they're thinking, they're hanging out with actors. May think we even know you, that we are following you to all this, So that's, people forget reality and TV, that's different. But what I would like to know is, you have been in the industry 30 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And counting.
Yes, ma'am.
And as a producer. And, you said acting is just like almost any other thing. And I know that producing, doing any business in Nigeria is tough.
Very tough.
Many people will tell you, in the first 5 years, a lot of people give up. What has kept you going? I know I'm not talking of finances now. I'm just even talking about, like, in your mind, your mindset. Like, what are those things that have kept you going 30 years? And what are the things, your successes that you're so proud of today as we're sitting here?
To God be the glory. When I started, it was a blessing because I grew up in Ebutemeta. And there's this, then, it was an area uncle. But now he's my boss. Alhaji Taiwo Hassan Ogogo. They formed a group at Ebutemeta that is called Odunfa Kakos. I was born, raised, and we were growing after them at Ebutemeta. When I was in secondary school, I'm actually the social prefect. So the drama and theater thing, I'm always like, but when I got out of school, I don't know, everything just disappeared. I wasn't even pursuing it. I was working at Apapa. Alhaji Taiwo Hassan too was working at Water Corporation. So whenever we were going to work in the morning, we always meet at the bus stops. And, so when they decided to form Odunfa Kakos, it was so easy for me to be part of it because it was like an uncle that beckoned to me like, you come, Josh, I know you go to Apapa, come and be doing this one too, And like that's how I got into it. And when you have somebody as big as that gives you his back to lean on, it was a smooth ride. So to God be the glory, my starting wasn't so horrible. I have a very smooth, sweet experience. And when you have somebody you're actually looking up to or you are taking after, the way they've been going about it, when you talk about my own, you still have to talk about those my bosses. Yinka Kodi, Ogogo, Abelanri, Dena, Uncle Kaka. They are still active and still going in the industry. And they are doing fine. And to God be the glory, controversially, they are always not available. So when you have a mentor that is teaching you right, I see no reason why you should go the other way. So it's just better for me to be taking after them, going as they are going. And to God be the glory. Fine. Our fingers are not equal. And when you talk about God, there is even the poorest person still benefits from God. There is one thing that God is doing, despite he's poor or she's poor. But some people that they think they are rich, they don't have what she or he that is so poor is enjoying from God. So there is no one on that that will say, God has not been nice to me. So to me, too, God has been nice to me. I don't have cause to regret coming into the movie world. So to God be the glory.
Stemming from your last conversation, I see the role that mentoring played in your growth. So if I'm thinking critically, I would say, what role are you playing to help the next generation? What are you doing to pay this kindness that people like Alhaji Taiwo Hassan, did? What are you doing to pay it forward?
Oh, well, like I said, you haven't really say, oh, you guys find your ways and leave. We're still together and we're still taking after them. And in our own way too, because now our caucus has been over 30 years. The late Ireti Adekola, yeah, she's one of our foremost products before Ademise, and lots of all them like that. What we are doing, we don't really stress them in anchoring and taking care of new members that come to join the group. It's our own responsibility now to make sure, okay, fine, what we benefited from our Oga, we are actually passing it to them too, mentoring and putting them through. Then when anybody accosts me outside and you want to talk about, see, especially when you are a lady, the first question, anybody that met me, they can test it, to this. The first thing I'm going to ask you is, what do you have that you are doing as a lady? Like, okay, do you have anything you're doing that is sustaining you? Because when you start, this is our job. Nobody is going to be pampering you like that, except you are lucky. And when you don't have anything to be sustaining yourself, you'll be opening yourself to unnecessary damaging opportunities. So you will think it's a favor, but if you're not very careful, that is taking you too far.
You would think it's favor.
I don't want to say steadily dropping. Steady dropping. And we're almost out of time. There are a lot of things you said I would like to recap on, but I know you have a question.
All right. So I want to find out, if you were not an actor, what other interests do you have? I see you as someone that would have done well as a teacher. I could be wrong. Tell us.
You want everybody to...
Education. Education is
I know a teacher when I see one.
Education is my own challenge. I love to be better than what I am now. But as long as I'm still living, I believe there's still chance and hopes for me to be better. So for me to be a teacher will have been a challenge because I'm not too sound. I don't really know how to teach.
The way it's just going steady.
But I love to be part of government.
I was going to say that. For me, I see you as a politician. But because we're almost out of time, I know you are working on something. What will your fans be getting from you? What's the new project you're working on?
Like I said, when you try to do my introduction, I'm always proud to be a Lagosian. Because I come from the Royal Ruling House in Lagos. And see, when we were growing, we see Bashorunga, we see Kinikon. Me, my main target and my main major things now is to do things about my heritage, Lagos heritage. So I'm working on something now. Hopefully, before the year runs out, I might kickstart it. But if it doesn't get set for this year, hopefully next year. But I want to do something about
celebrating
Lagos heritage. Yeah.
Wow. All right, that's good. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, Mr. Onilegbale, Alesh, real one. I had to get that name right. We got so much value from you. Thank you for your being vulnerable and sharing your story. Thank you for learning from your experience. People watching that has gone through divorce now know that I will learn from my previous one and I would do the new one better. Thank you for saying living below your means and letting people know that I'm planning for my future. As in, there's a lot of, if you missed any part of this show, please go back and watch it. A whole lot that you will learn from it. It's available on YouTube. You'll be joining Veronica tomorrow with the ladies for the Saturday show. But before I go, I want to remind you, share your stories with us. We would love to hear from you. Verified stories from people who are going through it. And you could send that email. We would not mention your name if you don't want your name to be mentioned, to YourView@TVC Communications. Please put the S at the back, .tv. The email is right there on the screen. We'll be able to share your story and be able to get people to give you their advice, like you're getting counseling from the entire Nigeria. So thank you so much for joining the show. Have a fabulous weekend. Don't forget to join Veronica tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.